On a quiet September night in 1961, a married couple was driving through the dark mountains of New Hampshire, returning home from a simple vacation. What happened during that lonely stretch of road would become one of the most famous and controversial alien abduction cases in American history. Their names were Betty and Barney Hill, and unlike many stories that would follow in later decades, their account was reported years before alien abductions became a cultural phenomenon. They were not seeking attention. They were not trying to sell a story. In fact, for a long time, they tried to forget what they believed had happened to them. Betty and Barney Hill were an interracial couple traveling back to Portsmouth, New Hampshire, after a trip to Niagara Falls. It was late on the night of September 19, 1961, when they noticed something unusual in the sky. At first, it appeared to be a bright light moving erratically above the White Mountains. Barney initially assumed it was a satellite or an aircraft, something ordinary that could easily be explained. But as they continued driving south along Route 3, the light began to behave in ways that did not match any conventional aircraft. The object appeared to change direction suddenly. It descended lower. It followed their car. Concerned, Barney stopped the car near a scenic area south of Indian Head. He stepped out with binoculars to get a better look. What he later described would become one of the most chilling moments in UFO history. Through the binoculars, Barney claimed he saw a large, silent craft hovering above them. Inside, he reported seeing figures watching him. Panicked, Barney ran back to the car and told Betty they needed to leave immediately. They drove away at high speed. But somewhere along that dark highway, something strange happened. The Hills later reported hearing a series of buzzing or beeping sounds striking the trunk of their car. After that moment, their memories became fragmented. What should have been a normal drive home took far longer than expected. When they finally arrived home, both Betty and Barney felt uneasy. Their watches had stopped. Their clothes showed unusual wear, and neither of them could clearly account for roughly 2 hours of their journey. This would later become one of the earliest famous cases of what is now called missing time. In the days and weeks that followed, Betty began experiencing vivid and disturbing dreams. In them, she and Barney were taken aboard a strange craft by small non-human beings. Meanwhile, Barney suffered from intense anxiety and recurring stress whenever the event was discussed. Initially, they kept the experience mostly private, sharing it only with close contacts and eventually with researchers. Years later, under hypnosis conducted by psychiatrist Dr. Benjamin Simon, both Betty and Barney described remarkably similar accounts of being taken aboard an unfamiliar craft and medically examined by small humanoid entities. In 1965, the story became public and quickly spread across the United States. Newspapers, radio shows, and later television programs picked up the account. For many Americans, this was the first detailed alien abduction narrative ever widely reported. Unlike many later cases, the Hills were seen as credible witnesses. Barney was a civil rights worker. Betty was a social worker. They had no known history of seeking publicity. To skeptics, the case represented a psychological phenomenon, possibly influenced by stress, sleep disturbance, or hypnosis effects. To believers, it was the first well-documented evidence that human beings might have been taken aboard non-human craft. More than 60 years later, the Betty and Barney Hill case remains one of the most studied abduction reports in UFO history. No physical evidence ever confirmed their experience. Yet many researchers still consider it the case that defined the modern alien abduction narrative. Whether the Hills experienced a misidentified aircraft, a stress-induced memory event, or something truly unexplained remains a matter of debate. But one fact is certain. After the night of September 19, 1961, Betty and Barney Hill were never quite the same, and the road through the White Mountains has never felt entirely ordinary again.